Bronies UK. Hope you're all doing well. It's Sam. Well, I haven't done a video in a while, so I really need to. So here we go. So, you can tell by the title we're going to talk about Daybreaker, the evil alter ego of Princess Celestia. So, first appearing, in fact only really appearing in one episode of the series, A Royal Problem, she's basically part of a dream that Starlight Glimmer has, where Luna and Celestia turn evil and, you know, Nightmare Moon happens, but also Celestia turns into Daybreaker, the more prettier, more powerful version of Celestia. And it's really got me thinking, why didn't we have that as a series finale? Why didn't we have Twilight and the main six having to take on an evil Celestia? It would be so perfect. And I've often wondered if whether or not that might have been an idea at one point. Because I know there was a lot of ideas that were never put into fruition in the series, but I would love to have seen a battle between Twilight and Daybreaker. Because you imagine Twilight having to basically fight an evil version of Celestia. You know, we're talking about the pony that practically raised her for quite a bit of her life, the pony that taught her, the pony that mentored her. I mean, for a lot of ways, Celestia was like a second mother to Twilight. So, I've often always wondered, what would it have been like to have seen Twilight have to fight Daybreaker? Often considered the possibility that for a season finale, you'd be looking at one of two things. Either A, her being banished to the sun, which would be very interesting, probably destroy Twilight mentally and emotionally, but that'd be interesting to see. And the other thing would be, everything comes out in the wash and she becomes Celestia again and everything's hunky-dory. But I've really been thinking, let's say she did become Daybreaker. For a start, how? Because we know Luna became Nightmare Moon, obviously largely through her own jealousy and you know, feeling that she was being left out and that she wasn't valued and nobody loved her knight, and feeling like she was the lesser of the two rulers, all that stuff. But how would Celestia turn evil? Because in a way, Celestia is always viewed, from a pony perspective anyway, as being, you know, this great leader who is pure-hearted and fair to all. We'll get onto the whole Celestia video later about my thoughts on her. But anyway, put on to that. So, what could possibly turn a character like her evil? So, I have a few theories. Theory number one, which I think is the most likely theory, would be Discord. Because Discord being the master of chaos, it's kind of obvious Discord's abilities, you know, it can change reality. So, it's quite possible Discord could do it. What would happen if he did that? He turned Celestia into Daybreaker to try and test Twilight in the main six. Because obviously you'd want to know if Twilight could deal with such a situation. Now you see, I think Twilight wouldn't be able to cope. I think that if she had to go up against an evil version of Celestia, you know, as I say, you're talking about her mentor, her second mother figure, you know, the one she truly idolises. I don't think she could do it. I think to her that would be too much. I think as a character she would struggle. And I think it would be a very powerful episode. It'd be a very emotional episode. We'd probably get to see a side of Twilight you wouldn't want to see. But at the same time, you'd have to ask yourself as well, would it end with Daybreaker being banished to the sun for 1,000 years, thus starting the cycle again? Or would Daybreaker just be defeated and Celestia would return? It's an interesting theory, because when she first appeared, I know it was only in Starlight's dream sequence, obviously it wasn't, you know, it didn't actually happen for real, but it really got me thinking, are we going to see Daybreaker? Are we going to see an evil Celestia? I'd love to see an evil Celestia. I mean, I know there's like an evil Celestial in the comics, but you know, from a series perspective, there isn't. I'd love to see that. It's just the whole potential of having just such a spanner thrown in the works. So it just didn't. I would have loved to have seen it. And aside from the Discord, obviously the Discord theory, the other theory I'm thinking of would possibly be magical corruption, maybe. The Alicorn amulet, that's a possibility. I mean, you imagine if Celestia, I don't know, got hold of the Alicorn amulet and decided to do something with it for maybe research purposes, and next thing you know, she turns into Daybreaker. Again, another potential storyline there. If there's one thing about Dawnbreaker as a character, it would create such a fascinating story arc. You would be putting characters in perspectives you never expect them to go. You know, Luna, for a start, would probably have to take up Mantle as ruler before Twilight could. Twilight would probably be struggling like crazy. It really gets you thinking, what would have been the outcome of a real Daybreaker scenario happening? So, the way I'm sort of thinking about it, I don't think she would have been banished to the sun, because that just wouldn't have been, you know, too much of a bit too sad for the finale. Plus, I don't think it would have looked good for Twilight to banish her mentor to the sun. I think very likely the elements would come into play and they'd blast away Daybreaker. You know, possibly blast away whatever was corrupting Celestia. That would probably be it. But, you know, after that there'd be a lot of apologies, a lot of tears, and that would be Twilight's ultimate test. But from a villain perspective, Daybreaker, I believe, would have given this show so much more. I mean, if you look at it, villain-wise, you do have some interesting villains. I mean, Chrysalis, I think, is always my favourite villain. Especially because, in a sense, she really is a villain in the sense of everything what it means to be a villain. Along with Tyrek as well. Again, he's the same. But to have an evil version of Equestria's primary ruler, now that'd be interesting. Also, imagine the backlash. Imagine how would other ponies, other members of Equestrian society handle that, you know. And next thing you know, one day all of a sudden the Radiant Celestia, the mother of us all, suddenly just becomes evil. And, you know, the mainstream's got to go in and basically fight her off. I don't think she'd forgive herself. I think if she ended up turning into Daybreaker, and, you know, was eventually broke free of that, I don't know if she'd ever truly forgive herself. And it is such a fascinating concept, really. That's it. That's my 10 minutes of a random discussion about Daybreaker. Thank you very much for watching Bronies UK. I promise you I have got some of the stuff planned. I'm going to really do my best to get started while we're all in the middle of this bloody lockdown. But anyway, thanks for watching. Peace out. Have a good one. Cheers.